you're ready.
Okay. Welcome to the Marinade, a free-flowing conversation about the creative process with creative people. Each episode we welcome musicians, comedians, actors, authors, visual artists, filmmakers, anyone who creates art to talk about how and why we make stuff. This is episode 212, and our guest is Liam St. John. Liam is a rock and roll singer and songwriter whose debut studio full-length record Man of the North was released in September of 2025. He climbed out of some dark places to deliver this incredible record. His voice grabs you by the throat and takes you on a ride through religious trauma, family dynamics, toughness, pain, and self-discovery. I keep coming back to this record, and I think this conversation will help you understand why. Quick note before we get to it, the first part of Liam's vocals did not record for whatever reason, so I'm dropping you off about 15 minutes into the conversation. You'll be okay. That's showbiz, baby. And this conversation was so wonderful. I'm so grateful for Liam St. John. Y'all, it's my honor to bring you my conversation with him.
Well, how do I look? Am I the right?
You're sideways, but it doesn't really matter. Oh, there you are. Perfect.
Sorry.
There you go.
I've got like a MacBook Pro from 2016, so it literally just fucking died.
Yeah, buddy. I mean, we could have a whole nother podcast about our MacBooks and how they're too old, and I need everyone join the patreon.com/marinade podcast so I can buy a new fucking computer and this kind of shit doesn't happen anymore, because that same thing, man, same thing.
Crazy, bro.
Yeah. Same thing. So you were talking about, though, you're talking about hitting rock bottom.
Yeah. Okay, so the first song I ever went there with that's on the record is Dipped in Bleach. And that song truly changed everything for me, like as a human, as a songwriter, and as a, performer. But I grew up in a religious background. It was never forced upon me by my family or anything. It's just like what I fell into, probably because I didn't have like father figure. And so I just felt comfortable in this environment. But, I subscribe to everything very religiously, and I just like adopted all these really toxic habits of just like, not wanting to be bad, not wanting to upset people, and so I just suppressed a lot. Like, I would fuck up, but I just wouldn't tell anybody, and then didn't want to offend anybody, so I just like really kept everything to myself and just carried all this burden of like guilt and it seeped into every part of my life. Just like I couldn't speak my truth. Like I couldn't, and it just, started weighing heavily on me, to the point where, like I was married and we got divorced, and then I just hit the very bottom of the bottom, like just the most depressed I'd ever been, like really hard to climb out of. But then I felt kind of just this liberating thought, like, well, everybody is seeing me in this place, and it's like I've got nothing else to lose. And so Dipped in Bleach was this song that I'm like, I've been holding on to these thoughts for a long time, and so I'm just gonna say them. And I was terrified to say them, and I honestly had probably written that song years before, but never really like allowed myself to sing it. And then so I finally just put it online, and immediately got like 1 million views, which was crazy for me at the time. And just like hundreds of thousands of comments of like people saying, me too, like I feel that same way. And I was like, whoa, I'm not alone. And so it just created this meaning and purpose. And, I always felt called and um, I always felt called to be a singer and a songwriter. But when I wrote this song, I really went there with vulnerability and honesty is when I found my purpose, and my meaning. And so it just became like, just the most important thing to me is just first as a human being to be able to be in relationships where I can be myself and be as raw and as honest as I am, and as a songwriter and a singer to do the same, present myself with honesty and vulnerability and authenticity, because those are the things that I believe are most human and every human should be able to experience.
Mm, I love it. I love it. I wonder, we talk about religion a lot on here and spirituality a lot because I definitely, I mean, I grew up in the Baptist church, Southern Baptist church specifically, and it was kind of forced upon me, and it did a lot of damage to me. And even in my life now, I've spent my whole adulthood processing it and trying to figure out what my relationship is like with mortality, what my relationship is like with religion, with spirituality, and at every turn in my life there's a different question. It's like as soon as I
Yeah.
feel like I get an answer or close to an answer, there's another question that presents itself. And lately, those questions have been taking on broader moral themes in my life. And I'm wondering, and in a way that I'm trying not to be judgmental of people who
Mm.
are religious, who are spiritual in different ways. And I'm curious for you, like going through what you went through in your process of being religious, and then I too know what a divorce feels like and how I thought my life was over. I thought that was it, ball game. I'm not gonna last 6 more months. I had those conscious thoughts, right? And I was, even though I was able to take myself out of it and intellectualize things, the feelings though were, yep, I'm not surviving this.
Mm.
Um, and so I'm interested, like when you go through that process and such heaviness, like what your relationship with spirituality or religion feels like now and what it looks like.
It's very um it's very interesting. I feel way more spiritual now. Like
Mm,
I feel way more connected to my spirit, you know. I think, I was like a worship leader, but I never felt connected to any spirit. I felt so performative in that environment. And um, you're performing in I was in all the ways, like, like just like
what kind of church was it?
non-denominational
Okay.
Christian,
Yeah.
just like greeting everybody, like, you know, just the most surface level, like nice guy, like uh facade. And then, same on the stage. It never felt like I was like, singing is the one thing I love the most, and I just felt so disconnected from it
Mm,
on the stage in the church. But where I feel so connected to my soul and myself, like I feel present and in the moment. I found that in the dive bars, sticky floors and like sawdust, like, and that's really when um, I found my real truth. Was like I was like, okay, I'm at the bottom of this industry singing for zero people in a dive bar, yet I feel so present and soulful. I feel like a
mm.
human being and connected spiritually, like with everybody in here, the bartender and the sound guy. But
Your one buddy who actually did show up,
yeah.
not the 10 that texted you saying they're not going to make it.
And that gave me so much just food, just energy to keep going. Like,
Mm,
um, but yeah, I mean, I think I won't say I don't believe in those things. I just like have been around the world a bunch. Like, used to live in South Africa. I've I've fell in love with people from Muslim backgrounds and all different types of religions, and we're all the same. We're all if
mm,
you're in a relationship and loving somebody, I can't justify telling them they're wrong for what they believe in. And so
mm,
I just feel like we're all in this together, and we all deserve to be loved and to love and to live our truths. At least the
mm,
opportunity to try. And so that's kind of where I'm at spiritually. I kind of subscribe to the universe and manifesting and like using energy and spirituality that way because I've seen it work so many times.
mm. What was the bridge from the, or were they, did they overlap? Like, what was the bridge between the worship leader and the dive bars? Like,
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, what did that look like?
yeah. I guess they're kind of overlapping. I think I was probably deconstructing while I was still in the church
Uh-huh.
and like starting to go to open mics. I was doing that in college, like playing little dive bar open mics, and then I moved to South Africa because I was a track and field athlete, and I really wanted to pursue
Mm,
that as long as I could. And when I got back to America, that's really when I you know moved out of my hometown, moved to Portland, Oregon, and just dove all into like making this career work. And it was pretty. There was no evidence that it would ever succeed for a few years, and then
hmm.
but I was delusional enough to keep going. You know.
What were those? Okay, so what were those open mic? Because I mean, one of the things that you're a hell of a songwriter, but also one of the things that, of course, stands out is you have this incredibly special voice. And so I'm just picturing like I host an open mic here in town, and lots of amazing people, great talent. Like I'm so grateful for everybody who comes through there. But I can just imagine if you got up on stage with your voice at an open mic, like how that would land, you know? And I'm
Yeah.
wondering what the energy was like in the room when you opened your mouth and that came out.
Those are some of my favorite memories, to be honest. Like, just such magical energy in those moments. It was really important for me because it was like those were the moments I was really starting to like remove judgment from myself and just let my body and voice like express. And I really found my voice in those dive bars and open mics and things. But um, and I don't think I would be here without them because I found confidence by going to those places because it's like a lot of pressure. You don't
Hmm.
know anybody there. You're singing original songs. You're not sure if they're good.
You got 12, 15 minutes maybe, you know, like depending on
Yeah,
the place. Like, yeah.
yeah, but it was really special for me because in Portland, for how dark that place was for me, I met some of my best friends in the music industry, and there's such a cool community there, especially in like the open mic scene. Everybody just was really talented. Like, I met so many talented people, and we kind of fed off each other. And I even built my first band at the Ranger Station open mic in Portland because I was like, I'm this guy Ewayne Jones. He's like in his 60s or 70s. He plays harmonica. He played before me, and I was like, oh, blown away. And then the host of the open mic, his name was Brian Bays. He plays blues guitar. I didn't know them. I asked them to come play on one of my first blues songs I ever wrote, and they're like, okay, and that's how we formed a band. And
Hell
I
yeah.
yeah, we did the dive bar scene in the Northwest with that group, and so I think those moments are really important for. I know, there's no right way to build a career, but I think those moments were important for me.
Man, that's super inspiring for me. About in November, I started an open mic here in town in Orlando because there's a lot of talented folks, but there are a few open mics, especially on the outskirts of Orlando and in the suburbs, but there just weren't. Now a few more have popped up, which is great, but there wasn't any place to just go and like have an audience for original songs. So I host an original music only open mic, and it has introduced me to the coolest people. And one of my big things is like what you were talking about, that idea of you're going into this room full of strangers. One of my big goals is to make it feel like we're not strangers. Like in
Yeah.
the mic, if somebody shows up for the first time, I try to make them feel as at home as possible. And that's been the feedback that I've been getting because it really is special when you're there sharing with people and you only got, man, that's one of the hardest things in the world. Like 15 minutes is our how long our sets are. And like it takes me three songs to warm up.
Yeah.
Like I don't, I'm not wanting anybody to even listen yet.
Yeah.
Three songs in, so it kind of teaches you some skills and also introduces you to people, which I think is really cool. If I would
Oh
give
yeah,
any,
man.
that's awesome. And what year was that you were in Portland? Around what time?
That was 2017 when I moved there.
Hmm. Okay. Gosh,
Yeah,
it's crazy.
it's
That's nine
so
years ago.
interesting. I remember like you just get so much confidence from just the room going quiet because
Mm.
they were like, "Oh, this is a voice I want to listen to," or like a little woo. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And now I'm playing these shows with 300 of my own fans, and I'm like, "Why aren't you guys singing my songs?" It's like I forget where I come from. Like these people
Yeah.
want to listen too.
Yeah, yeah. That's interesting. That's really interesting because yeah, I would guess based on what I've gathered from you that you would have a respectful fan base that would want to listen to your songs
Yeah,
and not sing along. But it's an interesting balance too because I could totally see, especially with how rock and roll, as we mentioned at the very beginning of this conversation, your songs are they make you want to sing. So
yeah,
that is interesting. Let's talk about process a little bit if we can. I read something somewhere in the press materials or interview or something about you writing in a cabin in Montana. And then another something about like you having a dedicated writing room, I'm gathering, like maybe at your place. What does process look like for you? And do you need like a specific physical space usually?
yeah. I mean, I just bought this house, but this is where I write
Cool.
my little upstairs. But I think it's really important. What I've learned is to show up every day. Uh, you know, I think as a beginner songwriter, you're afraid. You I feel like the tendency is to write when you're inspired,
Mm.
which you should. But I think most of the songs that people resonate with were songs that I wrote not wanting to write. It's
Mm.
like showed up like 9 to 5 basically, and that's the thing with songwriting. As I That's where my spirituality comes in. Is I really believe that songwriting is magic. It's a gift. It's given from the muse, and I really take that seriously. Showing up for the muse every day, sitting down with my guitar. You're always paying attention. That's the important part of being a creator and a writer. Is like you have to experience life, but you also have to pay attention because so many of my lines have come from like seeing something or hearing something, and it's inspired a whole song. Like for example, one of my best friends is a songwriter, and in his Instagram bio, it says a J45 and a number two pencil.
Mm.
And number two pencil inspired this entire song about how I used to draw as a kid. And it inspired this whole song called The Man I Drew, about how I have disappointed the kid version of myself. But it's a really special song. I just debuted it at the Opry, but it's one of my favorite songs I've ever written. And it was inspired by somebody's Instagram bio. And so you just always got to be paying attention. But I do love like isolating myself. It's really just about being able to focus. You know, when you're out in nature, like I spent a lot of time in Montana, and so
Mm.
that the mountains are always going to bring songs out for you because it's so silent and majestic, and those songs are usually the ones that are really painful for me to write because they just bring out everything inside of me, and that was like devil in disguise, those songs. But yeah, I think the process for the most part is sitting down, showing up every day. I, Maybe it's a line or an idea I had, but even if I don't have one, I show up and try.
I love it. I love it. And I write that way too. I, I try to do a little bit every day, a little bit of something. It's not always a song. Sometimes it's a short story or
Yeah,
album review or whatever, but I try to write a little bit every day. At the very least, journal every day. And very rarely do I miss. Um, but like that discipline, I know when I'm doing it more often, then I can get through the shit and get to the good stuff because
yeah, man.
sometimes there's a lot of shit I gotta wade through. Like,
Oh man,
um,
you don't
I'm.
even know.
Well, and that kind of brings me to something I wanted to talk about that I noticed. There's a theme or a through line maybe that I noticed in interviews and in your songs, the way you talk about your mother, the reverence that you have for her. And that the word I wrote down was toughness. And and I'm wondering what that means to you, the idea of toughness, and then um how you think that informs your creative process.
Yeah, that's a good question. I feel like, I adopted a lot of that just from observing my mom, weather the storms of life. And she just did it with like just a tough chin, and um, so in that way I think it's really important, and I that's why I was so inclined to do sports is because, it
Mm.
just requires like no complaining and just fucking pushing through pain. And I'm sure a lot of that, some of that is not healthy, but it's just how I survived life as a child, and I think that applies to how I like approach my career. Like touring 200 days a year and writing songs every day, like just mental toughness and uh, discipline there. But yeah, I think in other ways, toughness is maybe having the courage to approach these hard feelings and like finally talking about them, which in the past I would have called that being weak, but it turns out it's just like being a coward is by not approaching those feelings.
100% agree. And I kind of wondered if you would say that, and I figured you might. Like, I 100% agree. I think being vulnerable is being tough and being able to get through it. Um, and and allow it to inform the process. I think there are a lot of times I, I've written things or people that I interview have written things that came out of such a vulnerable place that isn't always easy to share. There are some songs that I've written that I barely played for people
Yeah,
that are maybe they're really good. I don't know because I you don't know unless you really play them for people. But I think there's a toughness to that for sure. And I think it's great that you mentioned athletics because I did want to ask you about that. But like, because I think for me, I was a runner in high school and baseball was really my passion, but I was much better at running. And but the running for sure has it created a doggedness in me, like almost to a fault. Sometimes I won't give up on things that I probably should give up on, because you as a runner, of course, can't. Like that's so much a part of what you're doing, is not giving up, even though your body and your mind are screaming at you sometimes to do so. There's something else in there that you develop over that time to not give up. Did you feel any of that, like playing the dive bars early on? Like were you drawing on any of that, do you think?
Yeah, I feel like any like well, okay, I did track and field, and I do not know how my body and mind accomplished the workouts that I did in college. Like, because now I'm like, oh my God, how did I even like that guy was a beast, to be honest. Like
Yeah,
in
yeah,
retrospect, I'm like, fuck, man. Because
yeah.
now when I work out, I'm like, I couldn't even touch that level of discipline physically.
Yeah.
But I felt way more disciplined in these dive bars. It just felt
Mm,
like way more purpose was at stake.
mm,
Because this was like the rest of my life, where sports was like I was trying to make national championships.
mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like at the peak, reached the Olympics before I was 30. Didn't happen, but that would have been
Mm,
the end. With music, this is like the rest of my life, and so in those dive bars, I felt so much meaning and purpose that I was just so dedicated and motivated and disciplined to do it
mm.
as often as possible, because it felt like every time I went was like another step towards where I am at, and I'm here now, so I guess that's proof.
Hell yeah. I mean, there's a lesson I think about a lot that I don't regret anything, but like looking back on my life, I was so obsessed with baseball, and I was very dedicated to cross country too. I ran track, but like cross country was my thing. And I was good for my area, I was good for my county and my state, but like didn't have any designs of doing it for very long. But I also knew at some point that it would end, because you every early on I had coaches telling me like the end comes for all of us, right? Like the athletic end comes for all of us, and some of us quicker than others. And I think baseball ended for me way quicker than I thought it was going to.
Mm.
And I didn't know what to do, and I didn't handle it very well. And I just drank a lot, and I like replaced that time with unhealthy habits. How did you like when the end of that came? Was music just thankfully right there, and you were able to like fill that energy with music, or like how did you handle when your track career ended? Like that's a big loss for a lot of folks.
Yeah, it was a loss for sure. Felt like I had this graceful transition period because I got to go to South Africa and like uh, compete with the world's best
Hmm.
athletes in my event, long jump. Literally, my training partner Russ Samai is a bronze medalist in the world championships. Like,
Hmm.
I got to see the best of the best, and I got to train and compete with them. I basically fulfilled my childhood dream doing that. Didn't make it to the Olympics, but I also realized my body wasn't going to accomplish what Rush Wall's body could do, no matter how much better I got with technique, which I improved so much just by being around those people.
Hmm.
So I had this like, uh, you know, pass of the baton, and it just felt graceful. I had been like, getting my toes wet in music since I was a kid. Just singing. Grew up singing in the church, obviously, and was doing these open mics through college, trying to write songs. Had high school bands and stuff, and so I knew that this was really something I wanted to do, and uh, I was just terrified to do it. And then when I finished track, I was like, well, I I just am lucky that I had the courage at that time to like decide that it was possible and just try. Because I think that's the hardest part is like just trying. And this is it's way easier to be like think about it, you know?
Yeah.
But the doing is so hard.
Yeah. Um, we've talked bucket. Needs to go outside. Give Dad a few more minutes. Um, we've talked about open mics quite a bit, and for me, that's a big community thing. It's a big reason why I started the one that I started was for the sake of community.
Yeah.
Right now, I think most of us are leaning into community and finding ways to plug in and foster it. What is that? What does community look like for you right now in your life? How are you able to plug into it? Are there ways that you're creating spaces yourself? Like, what does community mean to you at the moment?
Well, I live in Nashville, Tennessee, and so it's probably the best move I've made as far as that part of my life goes. I'm just surrounded by um all my best friends, and we're all aligned. We're on the same wavelength as far as what's possible, and so it's just really important. Wait, oh yeah, it's really
Yeah.
important to surround yourself with people that are like-minded in that way. And luckily, I'm surrounded by people that are way more talented than me and think bigger than me, and so it's always elevating. And so I'm like literally neighbors with my best friend Evan Honer, and it's just really important to me to be around those people, the people I love, and people in this career that are um, in your corner, and that's the cool part about Nashville. But I do, and this is where my whole team is, and I consider everybody in my team, really important people to me, and it's really good to be in the same city as them and go to Mickey's or Shulman's and get fucked up with each other sometimes, and just have community in that way outside of the entertainment business. But yeah, it's nice to have community outside of music as well. Like I'm really huge into riding motorcycles, and I also love like Formula One. So it's cool to find people to geek out about that shit too.
What kind of motorcycle?
I have a Harley Sportster.
I had a 880, I had a '01 883 Sportster.
Hell yeah, man.
Yeah. I haven't ridden in years. My buddy got in an accident and I have this terrible fear of my mortality. I'm terrified to death and I think about it all the time. From the church. Thanks a lot, Baptist Church. But I quit and like there's just every once in a while there's this itch, because it was just
Yeah,
I love that bike, man. I had so much fun on that thing. So much fun.
yeah, I love it. Luckily, I haven't had any accidents. I'm just trying to keep it safe out there.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, I didn't mean to bring that up to like put that in your head. Sorry. That's not at
No,
all what I
that's
meant.
literally everybody.
Yeah.
They're like, "Oh, really? I just saw somebody die on one."
Yeah, 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 yeah. No, I thankfully didn't have any the only close callers, so to speak, I had was totally my fault, and I was just on a long run. My dad and I used to ride our motorcycles to NASCAR tracks around the South. So I'm based in Orlando, Florida, but I used to be about an hour and 15 minutes north of here in a town called Ocala. And so dad and I would ride up to like Atlanta and go to the NASCAR race there, or we'd go over to Charlotte, or and we just ride our bikes around, and that was a way for us to bond. And we were on a long run in like South Carolina somewhere, avoiding the highways and just on some state road. All of a sudden, I looked at my rear view and like dad's not there. I'm like, what the fuck? And so I pull over, and probably like 3 minutes later, my dad pulls up. I'm like, because I was freaking out. Like, what happened to
Yeah.
dad? I was like, hey, man, what happened? You okay? He's like, I'm okay, but you just ran a red light about about 10 miles back there or whatever it was, and I guess
Oh
I
my
just had been on
God.
a run and you can get zoned. You're thinking about stuff and you want to be present. You should be present. Cautionary tale to everybody out there listening: stay present on your motorcycle. But
Yeah.
thankfully nothing happened. I was fine, but it's just one of those like big wake up calls of like, make sure your ass is paying attention.
Oh yeah, man. Especially with other people out there
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
aren't paying attention.
Yeah. Man, this has been such a delight. We usually kind of start to wrap things up with what you're getting down on. So that's the art that has you inspired at the moment. It could be music you've been listening to, TV show you're watching, painting you saw, I don't know,
Yeah.
book, whatever. Like what's got you fired up art wise?
Um. Well, I've just been doubling down. I love Lowell George and Little Feat. I've been listening to a lot of them.
Scott Sherrard from Little Feat's been on the podcast.
Oh, really? That's
Mm-hmm.
fucking cool.
It was really cool.
I think I have his signature over there on that Little Feat record.
Oh, cool. Yeah, they just played down the street. I didn't get to go. It's a whole long story. I didn't get to go, but yeah, he was a really cool guy. We had a great conversation.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's been great. I love the blues. It's really what the music that has resonated with me my whole life, and I'm reading these books. This one's called Segregating Sound, and it's just about the history of popular music and how it originated,
Mm.
and how segregation and slavery and everything has influenced how our music has been, um, you know, commercialized, and it's really educational for me. Um, it goes a lot deeper than this, the story that blues songs were created from the plantations. It goes a lot deeper than that.
Mhm.
It's really important to me to learn more about it. So I've been digging into those books.
Cool. Very cool. Man, what a pleasure. Man of the North, incredible record. I'm so grateful that we connected. I'm so grateful it all worked out. And thank you for being such an open thought partner. And I mean, I'm telling you, I've had this thing. I'll listen to something else. I'll come back to it. I'll listen to something else. I'll come back to it. So it's that kind of record for me. And I'm really, really thankful for your time, man. Thank you so much, Liam.
Well, I appreciate you, man. Thanks for having me. This was really cool.
Oh, yeah. Good. Awesome. Well, have a great night, man. I appreciate you.
All right. Cheers. You too, man.
Yes, sir.
Liam St. John, y'all. Thank you so much, Liam. Thank all of you for listening. LiamSt.John.com for all things Liam St. John. MarinadePodcast.com for all things The Marinade. Follow us on all the socials. Go vote for The Marinade in Orlando Weekly's Best Of. You can find a link in the bio of all of our socials to vote for The Marinade for Best Local Podcast in Orlando Weekly's Best Of. Also, the original mic that I host that I mentioned during this episode, Be Original Open Mic, is nominated for Best Open Mic in Orlando. I'm so honored. I'm so grateful, and I'd like to win the thing. So it takes like 10 seconds. You can vote every single day. Seriously, probably takes me 10 seconds to vote for myself every day. It'd be great if you would vote as well, and I'd really appreciate it. Just find that link in our socials. Subscribe and give us a 5-star rating on your podcast app so you don't miss anything. Tell a friend about the show. All of these are free ways, free 99 ways to support The Marinade. Go do that while you're listening, please. It makes such a big difference and costs so little of your time and energy. Make sure you're following Life's Greatest Hits on Instagram, Blue Sky, and Twitter so you can get updates about my other podcasts with my dear friend Jordan Foley. If you really like what we're doing with this Marinade thing, please consider joining our Patreon community. Y'all, for $2 a month, you can gain access to Patreon exclusive content like our show Jason's Journey, where I talk about the moments that shape my creative life and provide a window into the process of making The Marinade. If you've ever been curious about the Patreon, hey, listen, free trial. Try a free trial. No pressure. Try it for 7 days. Set a reminder on your phone in case you want to cancel. We also have some free stuff up there, so you can just subscribe with no pressure and check out some of the free content and see if it's up your alley, and keep going if you dig it. If you don't care for Patreon, I'm also have a Substack, and if folks go over there, I'll post more frequently. We have most people that are into Patreon, but I'm more than willing to also step up my Substack game as well. If you want to support the show financially, but you don't want to commit to a monthly subscription, I totally get that. You can Venmo or PayPal us. It's just at the Marinade. I'm currently on my Grounded Summer Tour, and gas is expensive. If you're not familiar with the Grounded Summer Tour, it's where I get back to my roots each summer. This is our 4th annual. It's the first time I've taken my beloved pup Bucket with me. We are having the most incredible time, y'all. We're in Greenville, South Carolina as I'm recording this. Got to see my uncle last night. We've been to Nashville, Asheville, Manchester, Tennessee for Bonnaroo, Charlotte, Knoxville for a night, Chattanooga, Macon, stopped in Atlanta for lunch. It's been amazing. It's been amazing, but it also costs some money. So if you can help us out, help us get to the next town, Venmo or PayPal at the Marinade, I'd really appreciate it. If you've yet to hear, I'm making a record of my original tunes. It's recorded. My dear friend Chris Belcher is producing, and we have a few more steps to go before the whole thing's out there in the world. It will be on all streaming platforms, but I also would like to make CDs and maybe even vinyl if we can raise enough money. If everybody who listens to the show and spreads the word on socials just gave us $1, we'd be in great shape to make that kind of record. So you can join the Patreon, you can Venmo or PayPal us. Every little bit helps. But above all, I'm just so grateful that you listen. I'm so grateful you spread the word about the Marinade. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And until next time, go out and create something. Cheers, y'all.